Our selection is All Through the Blood. In shady green pastures, so rich and so sweet, God leads, He leads His dear children all along. Oh yes, He does. Now sometimes on the mountaintop, in the darkness of night, God leads, He leads His dear children all along. In shady green pastures, so rich and so sweet, God leads, He leads His dear children all along. Oh yes, He does. Now sometimes on the mountaintop, in the darkness of night, God leads, He leads His dear children all along. Some through the water, some through the water, some through the flood, some through the flood, some through the fire, some through the fire, all through the blood, all through the blood. Some through great sorrow, God gives us song, God gives us song. In the night season, in the night season, and all of the day long. Some through the water, some through the water, some through the flood, some through the flood, some through the fire, some through the fire, all through the blood, all through the blood. Some through great sorrow, God gives us song, God gives us song. In the night season, 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 God will make a way out of nowhere. In your night season, in your night season, and
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, indeed. The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have favorite love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua, the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
If someone speak, let them speak according to the oracles of Elohim. If it's done any other way, then there's an issue, and it is now corrupt communication, and whatever drives that spirit away shall be dealt with. Go ahead.
Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
If it does not go according to the word, then it is corrupt communication. No matter how nice it may appear, no matter how nice it sounds, it is corrupt communication. Go ahead.
But that which is good to the use of edifying.
If it's not edifying, it's corrupt communication. Go ahead.
That it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption.
And the whole purpose of that is the corrupt communication that is meant to persuade other thought processes is definitely grieving the Spirit, because the Spirit is trying to direct the congregation in one way, and then corrupt communication is causing that to veer off in another direction. So the Spirit has two choices. Either make that turn or get rid of the blinker that keeps causing everybody to believe that it's time to turn. Go ahead.
Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23 verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared.
Pay attention. See, these are the things that we don't really understand when it comes to being led by the Spirit, when it comes down to being led by Yahweh, our Elohim. You're not going to deal with Yahweh directly. All right? You don't deal with the CEO. You deal with the people that he has in charge under him. You may work for a company 30 years and never even see the CEO. Understand, you ain't just finna walk in and deal with Yahweh. You're going to deal with the order that he has set up. I have put an angel, I have given him charge over you to lead you in the way. He understands every bit of my instructions and where he needs to be and what time he needs to be. And when I change it, he changes, and he will not receive a failing report. And if you stand in between him and me, he gonna do you. Point blank. The angel not gonna ask any questions. He doesn't have any sympathy whatsoever. So pleading to the angel will do absolutely nothing for you. Yahweh is the one that has mercy. The angel has no mercy at all. The angel understands either success or fail. You standing in the way causes him to fail. He's gonna make sure you get out of his way, one way or another. Go ahead.
Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions.
He will not pardon your transgression. See, Yahweh says what? I pardon transgressions. Didn't Yahweh say that? He says, if you turn, I will forget all the things that you have done. Not the angel. He will not pardon your transgression. This is where we end up in a very gray area, where you end up trying to do something or not understanding that there's an angel that's standing there and he has a job to do. And you doing whatever you're doing at that particular time may cause that angel to get a failing report. And then as you get ready to appeal to Yahweh, the angel overrides your conversation and slays you or does something right there at that point. Why? He ain't got time to deal with that foolishness. So you trying to appeal to Yahweh, and now you stepping on his job. He said they're supposed to be at this top of this hill when the new moon arises. And you sitting there praying and waiting on Yahweh. He like, I ain't got time for that. I am not going to receive a failing report because you want to wait on a decision from Yahweh. Here go your decision. You in my way, you move. Me and Yahweh will talk about it when I get to this top of this hill. He ain't got to ask Yahweh to kill you. He already has the authority. He already has the power. He had everything necessary when Yahweh gave him the job. Go ahead.
For my name is in him.
My name is in him. So when he speak, he going to say, thus says Yahweh. He's not speaking in his own name. So that's why it should be very strange when anybody reads anything and it's this angel name and that angel name. A true angel that's a follower of Yahweh speaks in the name of Yahweh. He's speaking his own name. At least you start worshiping him. And when you ask some of the angels, they name, hey, what you want to know my name for? Thus says Yahweh. What's your name? Thus says Yahweh. Wait a minute, that's what the other guy said his name is. All us names, thus says Yahweh. Don't worry about our name. Follow your instructions. At least you know we be walking around with a big gold medallion with some angel name on it. Go ahead.
Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me.
So then it's up to you if you're going to open that door and allow Yahweh in. But some of us crack the door and we peek. There's some that open the door and let Yahweh all the way into their heart. And there's some that crack the door and they let a little wind of Yahweh come in. He ain't going to force his way in. See, that's the thing about having great power. You don't have to do all that you can do. Say, no. I'm going to give them an opportunity to see if they want to open this door all the way. Go ahead.
To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
He that has an ear, and everyone does not have an ear to hear what thus says Yahweh our Elohim. All right? We may have ears physically, but that does not mean we have ears spiritually. As it is written, they may be forever learning and never ever come to the knowledge of the truth. But they read every day. They read every night. Oh, they have nothing but wonderful sayings to say about him. Yah is great. Yah is good. But they are never able to come to an accurate understanding on anything. There's a problem there. If that door is not always open and Yahweh is not allowed to come all the way in, remember, it says Yahshua would not do many works in the place where he brought up because they knew him. So it already lets you know that familiarity breeds contempt. He says, he did not many works there, for they knew him and was offended in him. So he would ask, do you believe that I can do this? If they didn't believe, he went somewhere else. That limited what he even wanted to do. His ability is not limited in per se the ability itself. His desire to perform any of that where there is a lack of belief is what decreases. Why would I want to do all this work for somebody who really don't believe anyway? So he asked the question, do you believe? These are people coming for a healing. Do you believe that I can do this? Yes. Boom, there it is. So that's something that we have to take into consideration. What we're going to deal with today is the elders and mothers of the church. You know, we take this thing for granted, thinking that there will be other people that will be elders and mothers of the church, of the congregation. It never does occur to us that Yahweh may deal with things in his own due time, and the very ones that are sitting here that are not elders and mothers, by the time Yahweh sets us up, we may be elders and mothers. And the very kids that we see them walking around here may be the ones who then rule. So you might want to understand what an elder and a mother is supposed to do, because that may just be us. Everybody think they know when Yahweh going to do something, what the time is. We don't know when Yahweh going to deal with the things, when he going to deal with it. We may be elders by the time, and he may hold us accountable. Hey, didn't I give y'all some instruction beforehand? All right, now help these young ones, advise them on what they need to be doing, because y'all been walking in the word for a while. We may get there, and it may be our job to advise all them young bodies. You know, see, them young bodies can take a lick and keep on ticking. See, they hit the ground and bounce back up. We hit the ground and we just down. You know what I'm saying? We got to hit the ground. We got to sit there and we got to think about it for a minute. What you doing? Well, I'm trying to think about exactly why I'm down here. I might as well work on my grocery list while I'm down here, because it's going to take me a minute to get back up. Them young bodies, they hit the ground, bounce up, and next week they have a soreness in their leg and they don't even remember why. You have to remind them, don't you remember when you fell? Who fell? You hit the ground like a bag of cement falling off a truck. You don't remember? Oh, yeah. They jumped back up so fast, it didn't even register. Well, they may have able body, but sometimes they don't have able mind. Well, that's what these other experienced people in the word are supposed to be there to help with. And if they're not up to par, then they are helping these able-bodied young people lose their salvation. Let's begin today in Leviticus chapter 19. Leviticus chapter 19, and we're going to read verses 30 through 37.
Verse 30. You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am Yahweh.
Now, you shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. Already you have a situation where people want to do this the way they want to do it. They say, I can keep the Sabbath at home. I can keep the Sabbath over here. I can keep the Sabbath at Dunkin' Donuts. Right. You go ahead and keep believing it. Keep letting your pocket guard fool you. And reverence my sanctuary. Reverence. That means you have a certain amount of respect, fear, and admiration for the place that Yahweh has chosen to place his name there. Go ahead.
Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. You shall rise up before the hoary head and honor the face of the old man and fear your Elohim.
So then Yahweh gives us instructions. Already the hoary head is a gray-headed man. This is a gray-headed individual. You rise up before the hoary head and you show them respect. By the way, there are trivia questions. If you do not have a list of trivia questions, you need to see one of the people out in the hall. And if you have not received your email for these trivia questions, you need to send an email to the UCI.org to get the trivia questions for today. But you rise before the hoary head, showing respect and honor unto the experienced individual in the room. It shows respect when you step up when they enter into the room. Go ahead.
I am Yahweh. And if a stranger sojourn with you in your land...
Hold on, man. Hey, boy, do you have some trivia questions in front of you? Well, I need you to stand up and go get some. You got something? Give him that boy that. Do you have a pen? Get that boy that something to write with. Appreciate that, Brother Absalom. Appreciate that. That's how you take one for the team. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 33. And if a stranger sojourn with you in your land, you shall not vex him.
If a stranger sojourn with you in your land, you shall not vex him. We are not allowed to mistreat strangers. You are supposed to understand the life of a stranger, being that we have look at where we are now. We had a question or a statement on one of the videos. Are you justifying racism against us because we're the chosen people? No, but Yahweh did. What did he say? The stranger in the land shall get up very high above you. What is that? Racism. What, y'all don't, because y'all don't see the exact word racism in the book? You don't understand it? What is that when the stranger comes up and becomes very high over you? What is it when you are punished 7 times more for your sins? Those are punishment of the curses. So don't think because, I'm not sitting here whining about it, that I accept the way that our people are being treated and saying that it's okay for those people. No, I understand why it's happening, because we walked against all of the things of the covenant. And when you understand why something is happening, why are you sitting there tripping and moaning about the things? How about try to reverse that by doing the things that are contained in the covenant? That's like whining. My supervisor always talking about me. They always got a problem. Why the supervisor be doing that? Well, because I'll be late every day. Okay, here's a suggestion. It's a small one. How about try not to be late every day? It's just a suggestion. Go ahead, bro.
Leviticus 19 and verse 34. But the stranger that dwells with you shall be unto you as one born among you. And you shall love him as yourself.
You shall love him as yourself. And that becomes very strange when you're dealing with a people who have been brought up as ex-slaves and have self-hatred. When you're dealing with people who have hatred of themselves, it is very difficult to tell them to love their neighbor as themselves when they hate themselves. Go ahead, bro.
For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure.
All manner of unrighteousness is sin. Even if you can't specifically find the actual sin listed in him. As people say, well, see, I don't see sending lies over the email in Deuteronomy. I looked all the way in there. There was no email sin listed. So it can't be a sin. Go ahead and believe that if you want to. Go ahead.
Just balances, just weights, a just ephah and a just hin shall you have. I am Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe all my statutes and all my judgments and do them. I am Yahweh.
I am Yahweh. And go to the next graphic. And brother, I want you to read the definition of reverence.
From H3372, Yahweh, a primitive root to fear, morally to revere, causatively to frighten, affright, to be made afraid, dreadful.
So if there is reverence for the sanctuary, then people are going to have some respect when they enter into it, instead of coming in their own kind of way, coming in anytime they feel like they want to come in, saying anything that they want to say when they get there. People are set up to go and do this, then people want to go and try to do something else. Well, we're supposed to be meeting on this day to practice for this. Well, I don't think we ought to do it that day. Why don't we do it on another day? That day ain't convenient for me. Who the hell are you? Let's go to Exodus chapter 3. Exodus chapter 3. That's why it says, be careful of your words. See, people forget that we invite the angel to come in and sup with us and us with him. This don't mean that we have to sit around and speak holy, holy, holy all day. But when we get ready that we going to then go against the foundation that Yahweh has set up, after we have invited the angel to come, do you understand? Do you invite, most people, especially with common sense, I call it rare sense because it ain't that common. When you know your boss is going to be around, do you automatically go and do something against what it is you're supposed to be doing? And I don't think people understand that. You do know that that we just invited the angel to come in. Why would you turn around and do something to go against what you know he's going to report to Yahweh? What kind of sense does that make? But see, let it be some natural stuff at our job that we can understand. We can understand that. But somehow spiritually, we get confused. Exodus chapter 3, and let's read verses 13 through 18.
And Moshe said unto Elohim, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The El of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them? And Elohim said unto Moshe, I am that I am.
That is the statement. Go ahead.
And he said, Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, Yah has sent me unto you.
That's the name. I am. So you got people saying Yahuwah, Yahquah, Yah this. The name is Yah. He says, I am that I am. And then at the end, he says, tell them I am sent you. So I don't deal with whether somebody use Yahuwah, Yahquah, Yahweh, Yah. As long as it's got Yah in it, the rest of that, I'm not going to spend my time debating. Because it's hallelujah. Now hallelujah Yahweh. Now hallelujah Yahuwah. Now hallelujah Yahquah. The angels didn't say none of that. They say hallelujah. So people can spend all their time in Yahuwah and Yahquah, and I ain't getting into that. We got things of salvation to deal with. We ain't finna spend all day dealing with no name. Go ahead.
And Elohim said moreover unto Moshe, Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the El of Abraham, the El of Esaac, and the El of Jacob, has sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together, and say unto them.
Now check this out. There is an official thing here. Even before there's a law given, anything, before something happens, he has said, go and gather the elders together. So there is automatically a responsibility held with the older members of the congregation. The older men, and understand, he called the entire nation of Israel the congregation. You understand? So the older members were automatically supposed to be the more responsible ones. So even beforehand, go and gather these elders together and say this stuff. Because here it is. We ain't finna keep saying this all day. You go over here, gather these elders together, say what you got to say, then let them go and talk to the rest of the people. When they have meetings just like that at your job. They have a meeting of the managers where all those managers receive instructions. Then it's up to them to then go to their various departments and give the specific information that pertains to them. Go ahead.
Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the El of Abraham, of Esaac, and of Jacob, appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you, and seen that which is done to you in Egypt.
Right. And gather the elders of Israel and say this unto them. Go ahead.
And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt onto the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, onto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken to your voice, and you shall come, you and the elders of Israel, onto the king of Egypt.
You and the elders of Israel. See, a lot of times we don't even deal with that part. We just see Moshe and Aaron. But these people have a responsibility. Go ahead.
And you shall say unto him, Yahweh Elohim of the Hebrews has met with us. And now let us go, we beseech you, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to Yahweh our Elohim.
But you have to consider something now. Now you got the elders of Israel who are standing with a man that they don't know him. Hey, whoa. He said that the el of your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, has met with me, saying such and such and such and such. Now the elders got to go and stand before the absolute ruler who has ruled over them all of their lives and believe in the man that's standing in front of them. Oh no, Yahweh put you in the situation. Because he wants to see what you're going to do. Everybody think Yahweh always put us in comfortable situations. Hey, this is mighty uncomfortable for the elders of Israel. This is mighty uncomfortable. We don't know him like that. Y'all say who? Y'all know the dude that wanted for the murder. That's what we talking about? Him? He ran out of here last time. We heard about him. Now he back. Let's go to Exodus chapter 17. Oh no, it takes some belief on all levels. See, unbelief causes people to do a lot of things. Unbelief would have caused those elders right there to step back. Those elders had to have a certain amount of belief to even walk up. You can walk up in front of a dude who called himself God. Pharaoh wasn't just a king. He called himself God in the flesh. You gonna stand before a God who proclaims himself as a God anyway and say, the God of my people who you have had in captivity, say he demands that you let us go. And the elder standing behind, yeah, what he said. That's right. That's right. What he said. Yeah. All day, baby. Hey, they got to have some faith and belief to be able to do that. Go ahead, bro.
So what happened? A few of them elders had started turning their own clique. Man, we ain't following that dude.
They did. Keep reading. We're going to get there.
Before the departure.
Right.
Before the departure.
Eventually, they do just that.
Right.
So that's something we need to be prepared for. Go ahead, bro.
And all the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin after their journeys according to the commandment of Yah, and pitched in Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink.
All you got to do is present a situation, and Israel will show you what's truly in their heart. And that's why Yahweh allows certain things to happen. Because what Yahweh has to do is to prove to us what's in our heart. Because sometimes we think we're much better individuals than we really are. So what he like to do is present a situation and let you see what you did with the situation. Okay. Go ahead.
Wherefore the people did chide with Moshe and said, Give us water that we may drink. And Moshe said unto them, Why chide you with me? Wherefore do you tempt Yah?
Hey, you the one brought us out here, ain't? Ain't you the one that stood in front of the man God? Wasn't you him? Well, then give us water then. Give us just some of that water. You remember that when you parted the water and all that old stuff? Well, part it into my mouth, because I'm thirsty. Go ahead.
And the people thirsted there for water. And the people murmured against Moshe and said, Wherefore is this that you have brought us up out of Egypt, to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? And Moshe cried unto Yah, saying, What shall I do unto this people? they be almost ready to stone me.
See, this is something you need to know as a characteristic about your people. While people are just bragging about we the 12 tribes of Israel, oh, we this and we that, you need to know that as soon as something goes wrong, those very people who was like, shalom, they're going to be gathering up rocks to kill you. You need to be ready for that so that your feelings ain't hurt. I remember the first time somebody lied on me to my face, I cried. I was so hurt. I couldn't believe that they not only lied on me, but they were standing right in front of me and lied on me. Oh, it hurt me so bad because I believed in people. Yahweh took care of that. Now they lie on me and it just ward off a duck's behind. Don't hurt me. He said, I'm going to make your face harder than flint. Mm-hmm. Right. That means he had to toughen me up. I got to hurt your feelings a little bit, son, because you, how shall I say, a little too soft. Yeah, he took care of that business. Go ahead, bro.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, go on before the people, and take with you of the elders of Israel, and your rod.
Take with you of the elders of Israel. Go ahead.
And your rod wherewith you smote at the river. Take it in your hand and go. Behold, I will stand before you there upon the rock in Horeb, and you shall smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Moshe did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. And he called the name of the place Mesa and Meribah, because of the chiding of the children of Israel, and because they tempted Yah, saying, is Yahweh among us or not?
Is Yahweh among us or not? Because if we're not getting everything we want, if this thing is not prospering the way we feel like it ought to prosper, Yahweh must not be here. Boy, the arrogance and the fleshly view of Israel is amazing. We think we get to decide how growth goes. We think we get to decide whether or not Yahweh is among us or not. Here it is, Yahweh is trying to purge something out of us to get us ready for the next level, but all we can see is right now, today, what we have and what is being presented before us right now. He must not be here. You need to know this about your people. Let's go to Numbers chapter 11.
You know, brother, before reading these two bits of scripture that we've read here, these two chapters, I didn't really see the involvement of the elders.
Neither did I.
From Moshe's first step to Pharaoh. Now I understand even more why they had to die off.
Bruh, because what happens is, this is how people start to get elevated in their own mind. See? You start to see how things go awry because now they're a little puffed up. And you're going to see that gradually. Sometimes you give people a little bit of rope. All of a sudden they're a cowboy. Where you get these boots from? I gave you the rope to tie up the gate over there. They over there like, no, we're going to catch some cattle today. What are you doing? Go ahead, bro.
Numbers chapter 11 and verse 1. And when the people complained, it displeased Yah. And Yahweh heard it.
And people always complaining. You know what I'm saying? People have complaining parties. They invite other people to come over their house so they can get together and complain.
Do you feel like bitching? I do too. Well, why don't we have a bitch out party? You bring the snacks.
Go ahead.
And his anger was kindled, and the fire of Yahweh burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And the people cried unto Moshe. And when Moshe prayed unto Yah, the fire was quenched. And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of Yahweh burnt among them. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again, and said, who shall give us flesh to eat?
See, because if we ain't getting what we want, Yahweh must not be there. We have to get what we want when we want, or Yahweh must not be around. And what Yahweh doing is drawing out the non-believers. Go ahead.
We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers, and the melons, and the leeks, and the onions and the garlic.
So we ready to give up our salvation for a meal, for a combo of fish and supersize the leeks. Go ahead.
But now our soul is dried away. There's nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes. And the manna was as coriander seed, and the color thereof as the color of bdellium. And the people went about, and gathered it, and ground it in mills, or beat it in a mortar, and baked it in pans, and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was as the taste of fresh oil. And when the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell upon it. Then Moshe heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent. And the anger of Yahweh was kindled greatly. Moshe also was displeased.
Yahweh caused the children of Israel to eat the same thing over and over. And Jake just got ready for dinner and just started crying. I'm so tired of this heaven food. I'm so sick of it. I want some of that slave food that we used to have back there. Yeah. We missing the slave meal. Now here it is. Yahweh trying to purge something out of us. And it never does occur to us. When we are in a situation where we're not getting something that we want, when we're in a situation where we're going through some things, it never does occur to us that that is because Yahweh is trying to purge something out of us. It must be something wrong with the place. It must be something wrong with the leader. It must be something wrong. It's something wrong with everything. But it couldn't be us.
Can't possibly be me. Absolutely not.
Right. Read.
Verse 11. And Moshe said unto Yahweh, Wherefore have you afflicted your servant? And wherefore have I found not favor in your sight, that you laid the burden of all this people upon me?
Moshe said, you must hate me. You must hate me. Because you put me over all these people. You know these people. Go ahead.
Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them, that you should say unto me, Carry them in your bosom, as a nursing father beareth the sucking child, unto the land which you sweareth unto their fathers? Whence should I have flesh to give unto all this people? For they weep unto me, saying, Give us flesh that we may eat. I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me. And if you deal thus with me, kill me, I pray you, out of hand, if I have found favor in your sight, and let me not see my wretchedness.
Now, you know, brother got to be in a pretty bad situation when he like,
You know, either get me help or kill me. Because I'm about sick of it. I can't take no more of these people.
you need to understand this your folk. Your folks will drive you to the point where you are speaking unadvisedly to Yahweh.
What have I done that you would even give me this job? Did I do something wrong and did I do something wrong in my mother's womb? Huh? Could you have cursed me being over this people?
You need to know that. At least, you know, you get all sucked in by all these tribal parties that people like to throw. You need to understand, dealing with Israel is a job. And if you ain't ready to clock in, you might want to go somewhere else. Trying to save a bunch of people who don't think or understand that they need to be saved. Somebody drowning in the water and they fighting you.
What you out here for?
You drowning.
Leave me alone, fool. Ain't nothing wrong with me.
And they going further and further down in the water. But fighting you the whole time. You better get prepared. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel.
Once again, Yahweh has a setup, but you have to pay attention to this setup right here. Go ahead.
Whom you knoweth to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with you. And I'll come down and talk with you there, and I'll take of the spirit which is upon you, and will put it upon them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with you, that you bear it not yourself alone.
So the people were given, they didn't get spirit directly from Yahweh. They got spirit that was taken off of Moshe. Then it was put upon the elders. And it was given to them for the specific purpose of helping Moshe. So after this point, when the elders decide that they're going to do something other than back up the priest, they have absolutely done evil, because that's how they got their spirit. It didn't come from Yahweh. Yahweh took spirit from him to give to them. So it makes their actions exceedingly evil when they gonna turn around and go against him. Go ahead.
No, in this situation, he said to Moshe, people that you know to be elders.
Uh-huh.
So he's been around long enough to watch the actions of these
You got
people. So the ones you picking, if they do the job right or wrong, that's up to you. You the one picked them.
Hey, you make a very good point. Because think about it. Just like you said before, I didn't know about the elders that were there before he went to Pharaoh. All right? Well, now he's had a chance, like you said, to see those people. Them may not be the same elders.
Mm-hmm.
See, like, no, don't pick James. Move him. No, I seen him work. He went there the first time, but we know him not right. Something wrong with him.
See? You make a very good point. Whom you know. Because now you've seen them in work. And you know who. My elder used to always say, you play the game like you practice. When people show up late to practice, they drinking all the Gatorade. All the players who actually in the game, when they come on the side, ain't nothing to drink. What happened? Because the bench rider done drunk all the Gatorade. I mean, he's sucking down everything. They get him to go in, he can't even go because his stomach's so heavy. This is all the stuff he done drunk in his stomach. And like, man, what is wrong with you? He done sucked up all the stuff that was for the players. Well, he did exactly in the game what he did at practice. What he did at practice was sit on the bench and drank all the Gatorade. So you watch people. When we have other things going on, you see who's consistently late, who consistently half do things. Every time there's something needed to be done, they ain't never around. But whenever there's a party, they're the first one there. You're going to play the game exactly like you practice. If you practice doing nothing, when the game comes, that's exactly what you're accustomed to doing. Nothing. He said, man, I need you to go in.
Coach. No, those people look mad in there.
Boy, you ain't never been hit for, huh? Right. Go ahead.
That was it, verse 17.
All right, let's go to Numbers chapter 16. See, you have to set up the foundation of what the elders of the congregation are supposed to do before you just jump to the New Testament and read some things, because what happened is you are then reading some things without a foundation, and it's easy to then take those things out of context, especially when you don't consider that there's one setup for Israel and another setup for the proselyte church. And we will take the things of the proselyte church and try to apply them unto Israel. Numbers chapter 16, and let's start that at verse 1.
Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the sons of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men.
So if Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, hey, he's in the inner part of the priesthood. Sons of Levi. Go ahead.
And they rose up before Moshe with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown.
Right. So now if we think we got somebody famous in the congregation and now we got 250 of them, what they saying must be valid. I mean, it's 250 of them. This is how we think. Go ahead.
And they gathered themselves together against Moshe and against Aaron, and said unto them, you take too much upon you.
Here we go. Go ahead.
Seeing all the congregation are holy.
Now, remember how he had the elders to go from the beginning? The elders were there. Now, all of a sudden, they say everybody is holy. So now they have attributed the same power of Moshe to all of them. Go ahead.
every one of them, and Yahweh is among them. Wherefore then lift up you yourselves among the congregation, above the congregation of Yahweh, pardon me. And when Moshe heard it, he fell upon his face, and he spake unto Korah and unto all his company, saying, even tomorrow Yahweh will show who are his, and who is holy, and will cause him to come near unto him, even him whom he has chosen will he cause to come near unto him.
Right. He says, even tomorrow, Yahweh is going to show who he is. You question and said that I have lifted up myself above the congregation, above the people of Israel. Well, let's let Yahweh decide. Go ahead.
This do. Take you censers, Korah, and all his company, and put fire therein, and put incense in them before Yah tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom Yah does choose, he shall be holy. You take too much upon you, you sons of Levi.
You sons of Levi. So we're not talking about just anybody now. So now we're talking about a questioning from within the ruling body. Go ahead.
And Moshe said unto Korah, hear, I pray you, you sons of Levi, seemeth it but a small thing unto you, that the El of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself to do the service of the tabernacle of Yah, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them?
Right. You don't understand that you've been brought close to do a job? That's not something that causes you to have respect and reverence? But see, after a while, that ain't enough. We want more. Go ahead.
And he has brought you near to him, and all your brethren, the sons of Levi, with you, and seek you the priesthood also?
Right. Now they want something else. Go ahead.
For which cause both you and all your company are gathered together against Yah. And what is Aaron, that you murmur against him? And Moshe sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, which said, we will not come up. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of a land that flows with milk and honey, to kill us in the wilderness, except you make yourself altogether a prince over us?
Now, this is the part you need to see about the schizophrenia of Israel. 1 minute, you have magnified yourself over us. The next minute, it's your fault we don't have anything to drink or eat. Now, 1 minute, I got the power to bring water out of rock and feed you, and the next minute, I have magnified myself over you. Now, pick which one of those it is. Go ahead.
Moreover, you have not brought us into a land that flows with milk and honey, or given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up. And Moshe was very angry, and said unto Yah, respect you not their offering?
Right. Let me tell you something. Sometimes Yahweh will move you to be angry so you can say some things. Because Yahweh wanted to be said. So that righteous judgment can be rendered against some individuals. He went on and let them say what they had to say. So Moshe, it says that Moshe was one of the meekest men on the earth. But Israel moved him to anger. Go ahead.
I have not taken one ass from them, neither have I hurt one of them. And Moshe said unto Korah, be you and all your company before Yahweh, you and they and Aaron tomorrow, and take every man his censer, and put incense in them, and bring you before Yahweh every man his censer, 250 censers, you also and Aaron, each of you his censer.
Right. You got to understand, all of this is taking place before the congregation. All right. So what's happening is, the longer these things go on, the more people are persuaded then to go against whatever things that Moshe is doing. And because these were of men of renown, people that were supposed to be famous in the congregation, people then give it validity because of the position of the individuals who are talking. See, today, people will do that just by holding an office and then sending everybody a bunch of strange videos. Watch this video. Watch that video. See how they teaching this. See how they teaching that. Right. Trying to get the people off from the teaching of where they're all learning. Same thing happened then, happened today. Israel ain't changed. Israel do the same thing. Get ready. Because while everybody look, I remember when I was sitting in your seat. It never does occur to you that all the stuff you're looking at it for a reason. What if Yahweh send you another direction and the next place you sitting, you end up sitting in my seat. And then you have to deal with all the things that you just watched. And he gonna remember how you dealt with them. Right. Read, bro.
Verse 18. And they took every man his censer and put fire in them and laid incense thereon and stood in the door of the tabernacle of the congregation with Moshe and Aaron. And Korah gathered all the congregation against them unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the glory of Yah appeared unto all the congregation. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, Separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell upon their faces and said, O Elohim, the Elohim of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and will you be angry with all the congregation?
But see, the one man has gathered a lot of people. And the longer it goes on, more and more people have been gathered. This is why my elder used to say, no, Yahweh like to let something go along long enough that he can get all the sympathizers together. Let them all gather together in one place, so that way when he gets ready to render righteous judgment, he can get rid of all of them in one swoop. Go ahead.
You know, you were just talking about being in your seat, and I don't think people understand. It's like the same effort of disrespect that you put out, that's what you need to look for when you're in that position, and realize that, you know what, I'm just getting a taste of my own medicine.
Exactly. Let me tell you something, brother. I praise Yahweh for the path that he led me in, because I know it was not a decision that I made on my own accord. My elder was living. If my elder was living, I would be absolutely content with being a student. My elder passed, and all the other people felt threatened by me. I was not allowed to do my work. I was not allowed to do anything. I was forced to teach. I look, and it's amazing to me at the people who make a decision on their own that they're going to teach. Yahweh ain't called them. Yahweh ain't led them. They just made a decision, and they called Yahweh and told them about it. I praise Yahweh for that path. See, that path didn't look glorifying when I was going through it. But when I look back at it, and now I look at the people who just make decisions, I'm going to teach myself. I'm so glad of the hell that he sent me through, because now I know within my own heart that I didn't make that decision. That decision was made for me. Yahweh led me to a four-way street, blocked 3 streets, and said, choose, Esaac. Ain't but 1 street left. Good choice, my son. You so small with your dumb self. Right. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 23. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the congregation, saying, Get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Moshe rose up and went on to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spake unto the congregation, saying, Depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men.
Right. They are getting warning. Depart from the tents of these wicked men. Judgment about to come. But you know, we too arrogant and we too smart. You can't warn us.
I ain't gonna let nobody tell me what to do. I'm gonna stay right here.
Go ahead, bro.
And touch nothing of theirs, lest you be consumed in all their sins.
Right. Lest you be consumed in their sins just by being there. Check that out. Go ahead.
So they gat up from the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram on every side.
These are people who had common sense. That rare sense. They got up and left. Warning came. Remember, that's the job of the watchman. Warn them from me. Warning came. They said, you know what? Hey, man, y'all be having some real good shindigs over here at this tent. But you know what? I'm going to have to bounce, brother, because things don't sound too good about what's coming toward this tent. So I'm going to go over in my tent, and I'm just going to watch. So we need to learn how to go to our tent and just watch. Go ahead.
And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood in the door of their tents, and their wives and their sons and their little children. And Moshe said, Hereby you shall know that Yahweh hath sent me to do all these works.
Hereby you shall know that Yahweh have sent me. Go ahead.
For I have not done them of mine own mind.
I have not done them on my own mind. And the people who have decided that they're going to call themselves to be teachers and they're going to teach on their own, they have to ask themselves, who called you to do that? Right. Go ahead.
If these men die the common death of all men, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then Yahweh has not sent me. But if Yahweh make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth, and swallow them up, with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then you shall understand that these men have provoked Yahweh. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed them up, and their houses, and all the men that appertained unto Korah, and all their goods. And they and all that appertained to them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation.
Those that refused to separate themselves. See? Go ahead.
And all Israel that were round about them fled at the cry of them, for they said, lest the earth swallow us up also.
Now you have to understand just how strange Israel is. All right? Seeing the power of Yahweh and understanding what happened. These men tried to go against the setup. The ground opened up, ate them. But then you have to understand just how twisted Israel then attributes these things. Go ahead.
And there came out a fire from Yahweh, and consumed the 250 men that offered incense. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto Eleazar the son of Aaron the priest, that he take up the censers out of the burning, and scatter you the fire yonder, for they are hallowed.
They're hallowed now. You made an offering, and Yahweh consumed the offering. Go ahead.
The censers of these sinners against their own souls, let them make them broad plates for a covering of the altar, for they offered them before Yah. Therefore they are hallowed, and they shall be a sign unto the children of Israel. And Eleazar the priest took the brazen censers, wherewith they that were burnt had offered, and they were made broad plates for a covering of the altar.
So then there's a covering on the altar that is a specific covering to remind the children of Israel of disobedience and trying to do your own thing in Yahweh's house. Check that out. Go ahead.
To be a memorial unto the children of Israel, that no stranger, which is not of the seed of Aaron, come near to offer incense before Yah, that he be not as Korah and as his company, as Yahweh said to him by the hand of Moshe.
Now, if you don't understand that the priesthood is divided into families, and those families have specific jobs, and they have to stay within those jobs, you can't just say your family watches the door. You can't just say, I'm going to go burn incense that week. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to get closer to the Holy of Holies. Yeah, I'm going to go in there. Was that like giving to your family? Well, then you can't go back there. Go ahead.
But on the morrow all the congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moshe and against Aaron, saying, You have killed the people of Yah.
Now, this is the strange thing of Israel. Like Moshe got the power to open up the ground and suck down people and then make the ground close back up. 1 minute, he is a man of no power. Next minute, he is a man of all power. You need to learn the schizophrenic view of the children of Israel. 1 minute, they attribute everything to him. Next minute, he's nothing. And they have no problems going back and forth and don't see anything wrong with their twisted view. He killed them? At what point did you ever see me open up the ground and suck up somebody and close it back up? That don't mean nothing to Israel. But you need to know this, your people. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when the congregation was gathered against Moshe and against Aaron, that they looked toward the tabernacle of the congregation, and, behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of Yah appeared.
Right.
And Moshe and Aaron came before the tabernacle of the congregation, and Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Get you up from among this congregation, that I may consume them as in a moment. And they fell upon their faces. And Moshe said unto Aaron, Take a censer, and put fire therein from off the altar, and put on incense, and go quickly unto the congregation, and make an atonement for them. For there is anger gone out from Yah, the plague is begun. And Aaron took as Moshe commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation. And, behold, the plague was begun among the people.
Now, the plague was begun among the people because these people now are ready to stone him. They ready to do something to him, which is another strange view of the people. One minute he has power, next minute he has no power. If he has so much power that he caused the ground to open up and eat people, why do you then think you can run up on him? Go ahead.
And he put on incense and made an atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed.
And let me tell you something. You got to have your ducks in a row before you see a plague and Israel dying. Look, now we're scared to breathe the air of somebody sitting next to us. And we ain't just seen nobody just pass out and die like right in front of us. Like them people might get sick and stuff like that. We ain't nobody just been walking down the street and see somebody just go out. And they dying like that. And he goes and stands in the middle and stops the plague from where he stands physically. You got to understand how much belief you got to have to do that. While everybody around you dying. See, we talk that we believe in Yahweh stuff. We're going to see when stuff start happening. We're going to see who believes. Go ahead.
Now they that died in the plague were 14,700.
Let 14,000 people die on one day at one time. Let's see what folk do. Go ahead.
You want me to go in there without a mask on?
Right. You tripping? We go, look, it would have been 50,000 before we got there. You know why? Because we needed a full hazmat suit and everything. Yahweh wouldn't even recognize us. Who is that? Oh, that's Aaron. What, is he an astronaut? What the hell is all that over his head? Right. Go ahead.
Beside them that died about the matter of Korah. And Aaron returned unto Moshe unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the plague was stayed.
And the plague was stayed. Now, we must understand that the priesthood was reserved for the children of Israel. That reservation affords Israel more power and responsibility. The reservation also affords Israel more judgment, and you cannot have one without the other. With power comes responsibility. The more power you have, the more responsible you are. Let's go to Romans chapter 2. Romans chapter 2, and we're going to start that at verse 8 and read it through verse 20.
Verse 8. But unto them that are contentious and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, indignation, and wrath.
It says they obey it. But unto them that are contentious and do not obey the truth, but they will obey unrighteousness. For unrighteousness they will gather. For the truth they will not. Go ahead.
Tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that does evil, of the Yehudi first, and also of the Gentiles.
So judgment comes to us first. See, with that whole setup also comes punishment first. Tribulation and anguish first. Glory and honor first. All we want to count is the glory and honor part. We don't want to deal with the tribulation and anguish. No, you first in that too. Go ahead.
But glory, honor, and peace to every man that works good, to the Yehudi first, and also to the Gentile. For there is no respect of persons with Elohim.
That's not respect of persons. That's just the way everything was set up. It was set up to Israel first. Then the door was open unto the Euro Gentiles and the rest of the Gentiles. So then when it comes down to punishment, it's going to go to Israel first, then go to the rest of the world. You get everything first. Good, the bad, and the ugly. When stuff first happened to us, they say, oh man, look at that stuff happening to the black folk. Then it crossed onto the other side of the tracks, and they were like, oh my God, look, it done came over here. They just thought it was going to happen to us. No, we were just first. Go ahead.
For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. For not the hearers of the law are just before Elohim, but the doers of the law shall be justified. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves.
So the Gentiles were not given the law. So when they do it, it is extra credit for them. Go ahead.
Which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. In the day when Elohim shall judge the secrets of men by Yahshua HaMashiach, according to my gospel. Behold, you are called a Yehudi, and resteth in the law, and make your boast of Elohim, and knoweth his will, and approve the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law.
Right. That's automatically the difference between the teaching of the children of Israel and the teachings given unto the Gentiles. It says the Gentiles were not given the law. It says Israel, you rest in the law, and you are being instructed out of the law. So whenever there's a situation where there are Euro Gentiles and the children of Israel in the same room, you have to differentiate in that teaching which things is for them and which things are for the Gentiles. Go ahead.
And are confident that you yourselves are a guide of the blind, a light of them which are in darkness, an instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes, which has the form of knowledge and of truth in the law.
And how are you going to teach them if you haven't received the instruction? Go ahead.
That was it, verse 20.
That was it. Let's go to, that was, you stopped at 20?
Yes.
All right, let's go to Numbers chapter 8. So it's automatically expected that the children of Israel would know and understand the law because the children of Israel were instructed out of the law. So then we have to consider that there is a lack of things and ability when it comes down to the things that were then given unto the proselyte churches. Those are converts. That would be what you would call Christians. They would lead you to believe that they are the official ones. The whole setup of a Christian, that's a proselyte. Those are converts. Numbers chapter 8. And let's start that at verse 5.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Take the Levites from among the children of Israel, and cleanse them. And thus shall you do unto them, to cleanse them. Sprinkle water of purification upon them, and let them shave all their flesh, and let them wash their clothes, and so make themselves clean.
Now, you have to understand something. There's certain times that Yahweh will ask you to do some things, and if you're not following and understanding in the right context, you may get to that point where you start questioning Yahweh and say, you know, Yahweh has asked me to break the law. You know, Yahweh told us that we're not to mar the corners of our beard. We're not supposed to cut it. He just told them to shave all their flesh. You need to understand there's a point in several places in this book. At the accomplishing of a vow, they shaved. Least you go and see some man as smooth as a baby's bottom, and you start to then go and judge that man. Did you ask that man any questions whether or not he had just accomplished a vow? Or did you just notice that he didn't have a beard, so something must be wrong with him? And if you're shaving all your flesh, hey man, he's shaving. Read, man.
Then let them take a young bullock with his meat offering, even fine flour mingled with oil, and another young bullock shall you take for a sin offering. And you shall bring the Levites before the tabernacle of the congregation, and you shall gather the whole assembly of the children of Israel together. And you shall bring the Levites before Yah, and the children of Israel shall put their hands upon the Levites. And Aaron shall offer the Levites before Yahweh for an offering of the children of Israel, that they may execute the service of Yah. And the Levites shall lay their hands upon the heads of the bullocks. And you shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering, unto Yahweh, to make an atonement for the Levites. And you shall set the Levites before Aaron and before his sons, and offer them for an offering unto Yah. Thus shall you separate the Levites from among the children of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. And after that shall the Levites go in to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and you shall cleanse them, and offer them for an offering. For they are wholly given unto me from among the children of Israel, instead of such as open every womb, even instead of the firstborn of all the children of Israel, I have taken them unto me. For all the firstborn of the children of Israel are mine, both man and beast. On the day that I smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt, I sanctified them for myself.
I sanctified them for myself. Go ahead.
And I have taken the Levites for all the firstborn of the children of Israel. And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and to his sons from among the children of Israel, to do the service of the children of Israel in the tabernacle of the congregation.
And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and to his sons from among the children of Israel, to do the service of the children of Israel in the tabernacle of the congregation. This is their gift. They're given all of these people to perform these duties. Go ahead.
And to make an atonement for the children of Israel, that there be no plague among the children of Israel when the children of Israel come near unto the sanctuary.
So consider that. The children of Israel come near unto the sanctuary, and they're bringing their uncleanness with them. Somebody has to be around to be able to make atonement for that. Otherwise, the plague then spreads out and starts dealing with Israel, because they've brought their uncleanness unto Yahweh's house. So sometime when people separate themselves, you should actually be glad that they took that uncleanness somewhere else. At least the plague break out and start spreading out among you. Go ahead.
And Moshe and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel did to the Levites according to all that Yahweh commanded Moshe concerning the Levites, so did the children of Israel unto them. And the Levites were purified, and they washed their clothes. And Aaron offered them as an offering before Yahweh, and Aaron made an atonement for them to cleanse them. And after that went the Levites in to do their service in the tabernacle of the congregation before Aaron and before his sons. And Yahweh, as Yahweh had commanded Moshe concerning the Levites, so did they unto them. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, This is it that belongs unto the Levites. From 25 years old and upward they shall go in to wait upon the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. And from the age of 50 years they shall cease waiting upon the service thereof, and shall serve no more.
So then now we understand, according to the priesthood setup, this is the service where about these people have then become elders, because they have worked these years in the priesthood. Okay? They have served. That at 50 years of age, there is now a retirement given unto these Levitical priests who have labored from within the priesthood. Now you're going to find several different numbers on here. If you keep reading throughout this book, you're going to find 20, you're going to find 25, and then you're going to find 30. They were then given, they didn't have to keep moving the tabernacle once a house was set up. So then things had to be altered, But when it came down to receiving that charge, you're going to find that 30 is that number, for Yeshua did not receive his baptism until 30 because he needed to be that age to even start working in the temple of his own body. Go ahead.
But shall minister with their brethren in the tabernacle of the congregation to keep the charge, and shall do no service. Thus shall you do unto the Levites, touching their charge.
Right. So then that we know by dealing with this, how Israel got their elders. Now let's go to Acts chapter 14. See, it's important that you have a foundation there, because what happens is people start coming in this part of the book and they just jump in and then they start attributing everything they read unto everybody who passed by. Acts chapter 14, and we're going to read verses 19 through 27.
And there came there certain Yehudis from Antioch and Iconium, who persuaded the people, and having stoned Saul, drew him out of the city, supposing he had been dead.
Now, one of the main reasons they was having so many issues with Saul, because they suppose that he had been teaching the children of Israel against the law, because he's teaching the Gentiles. But he's teaching the Gentiles that they don't have to do all of the things of the law. The problem is there are also Jews among them. Well, he's having to differentiate between the things that the Jews have to do and the things that the Euro-Gentiles have to do. Israel wasn't trying to hear that. All we needed to hear is they was in the same room. So you must be teaching the same thing, and we finna kill you. We want you out of here. Go ahead.
Howbeit, as the disciples stood round about him, he rose up and came into the city. And the next day he departed with Barnabas to Derbe. And when they had preached the gospel to that city and had taught many, they returned again to Lystra and to Iconium and to Antioch, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of Elohim.
But see, we don't understand that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of Elohim. We don't want to go through anything, but we want to be in the kingdom of Elohim. And the first time we encounter something that don't work our way, we have a whole lot of things to say against Yahweh and wherever he sent us. This is our history. This ain't nothing we making up here. You need to understand. Because when Yahweh forced us out of this place, you got to understand how many people are going to be sick in the mind. And you got to understand what your responsibility is going to be. Because you're hearing it now. So instead of, my elder used to ask me a question. Are you comforting the people, or are you seeking to be comforted? Read, brother.
And when they had ordained them elders in every church, and had prayed with fasting, they commended them to the Adonai, on whom they believed.
Okay, they had ordained them elders in every church. Wait a minute. They didn't have the ability to have these people exercised. The church is new. So they appointed elders. He look old enough. We asked him a couple questions. He seemed good. We appoint him as an elder. He wasn't an elder indeed, because he wasn't able to have 30 years of service to be retired and enter into that the way that Israel would have done that. So you need to understand the difference in this setup. Yes, they are still trying to pick aged and mature men, but they are picking them not by experience in the walk, because they're just now getting in this walk. Okay? Now, in no way does that justify that thing that Jehovah's Witnesses do. Because they'll have a 15-year-old boy. And that 15-year-old boy will tell you, yeah, I'm an elder. I'm sorry, elder of what? You 15. Have you even gone through puberty yet? How in the hell are you an elder? Right, you have people that in their organizations, they appoint those, but they don't even appoint them by age. They just, it's just a regular job like an usher. But you understand how these things differ and why they differ. Go ahead.
And after they had passed through Pisidia, they came to Pamphylia. And when they had preached the word in Perga, they went down into Italia, and then sailed to Antioch, from whence they had been recommended to the grace of Elohim for the work which they fulfilled.
Now, you understand why they had to appoint elders, because now they're leaving and going somewhere else. They're appointing people. All right, we've taught y'all some things, blah, 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 blah. Y'all stick to that. Now we're going somewhere else. That's why these letters became useful. Those people would then send communication and say, this is the issue we had. How do you think we should deal with it? You need to understand what we have in the New Testament. There are letters that are answers about a lot of situations, but we don't have the first letter. We have the letter that he has sent in reply. But these are from a bunch of unexperienced people in the word. These are new people. Even the elders at this time are new. Go ahead.
And when they were come and had gathered the church together, they rehearsed all that Elohim had done with them, and how he had opened the door of faith unto the Gentiles.
All right, did you finish that up?
Yes.
All right, let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 3. First Timothy chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 1 through 13.
Verse 1. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop.
First Timothy, I ain't got that yet. Okay, go ahead.
This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desires a good work. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach, not given to wine, no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, nor covetous, one that rules well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of Elohim?
Now, of course, when we start dealing with these things, people look at, okay, we have bishop, we have deacon, we have all of these things that are now a part of this new church. You have these things then that are given unto the Euro Gentiles. You have to understand that all of those abilities would be inside one office, Levite. All of this then has to be given unto them, and it has to be given unto them in a lesser way because they don't know what they're doing. So they can't have all of the responsibilities and the abilities of Israel. You got people that were not even circumcised dealing with these things because circumcision wasn't given unto them. So then you got Israel who would then come among them and have big problems. Hey man, dude, you got y'all sitting here listening to an uncircumcised man? That wasn't given unto them to do. So then you automatically got a schism going on there. So we need to understand when we read these things, we always have to ask ourselves a question. Who's talking and who are they talking to? And if you don't differentiate between those things, you are going to have yourself some issues. Go ahead, bro.
Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil.
You wouldn't even have to say that to Israel. We doing not a novice. We started these boys working at 20. What are you talking about, not a novice? He know what he's doing by the time. He's watched this. He's helped us. He's assisted us. Ain't no novice coming in. Go ahead.
You know, when you think about when Yahweh first talked to Moshe, he said, get elders of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Then it became elders of the congregation.
Mm-hmm. That you know.
Yep.
After you done watched them. See, it changed. 'Cause I remember when I first got in the Word, and before, my family started coming, I was going to the Word for, I was in the Word a couple of years by myself. And then when my family started coming, I had a list of people. Hey, these are the approved individuals that you can be around. And he's like, why? Because I know those are hellions. Right there, that's a hellion, and that's a hellion. I had already been there several years, and it took several years to figure out who was hellions. Say, oh, they smile, absolutely wonderful, and when they hug you, they squeeze. But let me tell you something, that isn't hellion. I've watched several fall at the hands of that one. I was able to already give them warning when things happen. But guess what? 3-4 more years later, I had to add some names onto that list. I said, damn, I didn't even know this was a hellion. And that hellion over there, take them back off the list because they actually repented and changed their life. That thing changed. So experience is a mother. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without, lest he fall into reproach and the snare of the devil. Likewise must the deacons be grave, not double-tongued, not given to much wine, not greedy of filthy lucre.
Right. So if you look up in the Old Testament, you are never going to find this word deacon. You're never going to find a bishop. We have used those terms to help people understand and dealing in the term of the things of the new church. But we will no longer use those terms. These brothers that are up here, these brothers are associate priests. We will no longer use these Christian names, because what happens is people also associate the limitations that was given unto the Christian setup with these very brothers. And people also don't understand the responsibility. As associate priests, you have responsibilities. And you will be held to those responsibilities. When you read, and we're going to read the definition of these things so that people understand the difference. Go ahead.
You know, even in verse 7, he says, moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without. You know, we get into the congregation, our church, the people, and we just know them in here. And because we kind of isolate the outsiders, we never go to somebody and say, how is he outside, or how is she outside of here?
Right. Right.
What are they like when you and them hang out?
Mm-hmm. And you might find something very interesting when you run into to some other people. So you run into some people, they say, yeah, they used to go to my church. Then you ask them, well, how were they? Oh, interesting. Then you might find out some things. Go ahead.
Verse 9, holding the mystery of the faith in a pure conscience, and let these also first be proved.
Let them be proved. Now, they have to receive instruction for how to do this, because this is not anything that they've learned by law. Go ahead.
Then let them use the office of a deacon, being found blameless. Even so must their wives be grave, not slanderers, sober, faithful in all things.
Right. Their wives have to be certain kind of women that they are not troublemakers. Go ahead.
Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife.
It's telling them that these deacons, these leaders can only have one wife, because they are going to have a responsibility that's going to be really heavy for them. This ain't nothing they done grew up in. They don't know this like this. Go ahead.
Ruling their children and their own houses well. For they that have used the office of a deacon will purchase to themselves a good degree, and great boldness in the faith which is in Yahshua HaMashiach. These things write I unto you, hoping to come on to you shortly.
All right, that's all I want to go into on there. I want you to go to the next graphic, and let's read the definition of a bishop.
episcope, from G1980, which is Greek, inspection for relief. By implication, superintendents, specifically the Christian episcopate, the office of a bishop, bishopric, visitation.
Right. Now, as Saul is going among these people, he can't talk to these people about the priesthood. They ain't never going to enter into the priesthood. So he can't deal with them about anything regarding the priesthood because they are not going to have any dealings with it. And what he's doing is he goes from place to place. He teaches them. Now he goes to another place. So as a Christian bishop, he is then over all of these places, giving them the authority to teach. Whether they be uncircumcised or circumcised or whatever, they're Euro-Gentiles. They were not given those things. So they don't have all of the commandments that Israel has to do, but they also don't have all the responsibilities and all of the liberties either. With one comes the other. Go to the next graphic and let's read the definition of deacon.
G1247, Greek also, diakonio, to be an attendant, that is, wait upon, menially, or as a host.
The brothers here ain't attendants. From the moment we used this, I always told those brothers that they were priests. We dealt with these titles for other people to understand some things. They will no longer be used here from this day forward. Go ahead.
Friend or teacher, technically to act as a Christian deacon.
And you're going to find each one of those things is connected to Christianity. Go next, to the next graphic.
Priest, H3548, Hebrew.
Which is Hebrew. So now you're not going to even find any Hebrew words for bishop or deacon. We don't have those. But I tell you what we do have. We got some Kohen. Read that, bro.
From H3547, one officiating, a priest, also by courtesy, an acting priest, although a layman, chief ruler, ex-own priest, prince, principal officer.
All right, now let's go to First Peter chapter 2. See, what you find is people don't really understand their responsibility, so it makes it easier for them to foul up their charge because they really don't understand what their charge is. See, if you think you're just an attendant, you waiting on tables, you really don't understand your job. Go ahead, bro.
You know, when you mentioned in Bible study about, you know, the whole thing about head covering. I mean, that was one of the things to me is like, you know, what do you consider yourself having a head covering or not having a head covering?
Right.
Do you consider yourself just a normal man or do you consider yourself a priest?
Right. And in this very graphic right here, as we're talking about this priesthood, everybody in this graphic got a head covering on. Everybody in this graphic got a head covering on. So if you understand what you are, see, and see, having and using these Christian terms of deacon, I think some people have came through here with a charge and didn't understand. I think they thought they were just waiting on tables. You didn't understand that you are an officiating priest, that you have a responsibility. No matter what, you don't leave your post. Go ahead, bro.
1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 5. You also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood.
Now, who is this? This Peter. All right? This Peter that's talking. And understand, Saul is going to say absolutely nothing about the priesthood because he's dealing with the Gentiles and they have absolutely no connection with the priesthood. Then when you deal with Cephas, who is the apostle over the children of Israel, then you hear all of the things talking about priesthood. Totally different teaching given to two totally different groups of people. But you ain't going to hear that on Sunday morning. See, that's why the Catholics because they were the first one to come in and deal with the word. They don't deal with nothing but priests. You don't find them talking about a whole lot of priests, foremost and the most important thing. And then you find them, the Catholics, walk around with a head covering on. It's these people who broke away from the Catholic Church who then decided not to wear a head covering. Catholics are covered down to the foot.
Mm-hmm.
Do understand, every Christian church was once a Catholic. They just broke away from the Catholic Church. But their original teaching was head covering and a garment that covered your loins. Then you got them come as you are Sunday dudes. And they start getting those fine Italian suits. So then the robe came off. And then everything just started coming off. But that ain't how they began. Go ahead.
To offer up spiritual sacrifices.
To offer up spiritual sacrifices, go ahead.
Acceptable to Elohim by Yahshua HaMashiach.
You, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house. He's talking to Israel. A holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yahshua the Mashiach. So your instruction can't come from these letters that are in here that are written for the Euro-Gentile church. This is not where you get your direction from. Israel is instructed out of the law. So says Romans chapter 2. Saul says that, and he's not even over the children of Israel. And he says that you get your instruction out of the law. So if you don't understand where your instruction come from, I can tell you on your way to the wrong way. Because you don't even know where your instruction is supposed to be coming from. Go ahead.
Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believes on him shall not be confounded. Unto you therefore which believe he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner, and a stone of stumbling, and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed.
They were appointed. You got to pause right there. There are some that were appointed unto disobedience. But if Yahweh is going to make you stronger, how else can he make you stronger unless he allows some things to come in that door for you to spar with? And if something was appointed unto disobedience, no matter what it does, it's going to be disobedient. It was given to that. That's what it was made for. That's what it was called for. Go ahead.
But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood.
You are a royal priesthood. So then you have to deal with all of the things that is being said in the New Testament about the children of Israel. Because people are quick to tell you that the priesthood has been done away with. But the New Testament says something altogether different. And you got to know that because there's some people who are only going to listen to some things from the New Testament. That's why you got to know it just like you know the Old Testament. Because when you start reading stuff of the Old Testament, they ain't going to hear that. You got to start going to the places because they only recognize and respect the latter half of the book. Anything you say in the first part of the book, they're going to automatically throw that out the window. That's that old stuff. You got to make them answer you in the New Testament, because that's the only one that they believe in. Go ahead.
An holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of Elohim, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts, which war against the soul, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles.
Having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, which eventually you understand that the Gentiles are taking part in these things, whereby, as it is written, they were not given the law, but if they do the things contained in the law, they become a law unto themselves. So it's extra credit for them, it's regular credit for you. Go ahead.
that, whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify Elohim in the day of visitation.
In the day of visitation, they will glorify Elohim, and this is how you know that he is dealing with the children of Israel. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 5.
Timothy chapter 5 and verse 1. Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren.
So wait. So now you got a situation here. What if the elder was the one that was misteaching and giving some wrong things? Do you then say, we will not rebuke this elder because he is an elder? Now, he's afforded a certain amount of protection because he is an elder. Keep reading.
The elder women as mothers, the younger as sisters with all purity.
Right. There is a certain amount of perceived righteousness and certain amount of know-how that you automatically attribute to an aged person, because you automatically say they should know better. Just like you look at a child of a certain age. Once they come out of preschool and they do some things, you say, all right, Dad, I automatically believe that they should know better than certain things. Well, the same thing with an aged individual. Go ahead.
Honor widows that are widows indeed. But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home and to requite their parents, for that is good and acceptable before Elohim. Now she that is a widow indeed, and desolate, trusteth in Elohim, and continues in supplications and prayers night and day. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she lives. And these things give in charge, that they may be blameless. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel.
Let me tell you something. You provide not for your own when you don't provide the protection that a man is supposed to do. It says a man has the power to disannul a vow that his wife makes on the day that he hears. If that man is a acknowledged man in the word, his wife does some things and he doesn't jump in and correct that, he has not provided for his own, and he is worse than an infidel. See, what we do is we attribute this only to natural things. He didn't bring home the rice. He is worse than an infidel. See, he didn't bring that rice. He should have brought that rice and that gravy. He ain't nothing but an infidel. Oh, no. Let's put this on a much higher spiritual plane. You see your wife off in some stuff that she ain't supposed to be off in, and then instead of dealing with it, you then protect her. You are worse than an infidel. Read, bro.
Verse 9. Let not a widow be taken in the number under 60 years old.
What's 60? 60 years old. Because he said, look, they under 60. They still, no, they ain't ready yet. Let them go get married again. Let them, don't let them become widows indeed. They ain't ready yet. Go ahead.
Having been the wife of one man, well reported of for good works. If she have brought up children, if she have lodged strangers, if she have washed the saints' feet, if she have relieved the afflicted, if she have diligently followed every good work.
If. See, there's a lot of ifs in here. Now, there are some things that are done on the surface and you see, but then you have to pay attention to the things that are also done that show up afterwards. Go ahead.
But the younger widows refuse, for when they have begun to wax wanton against the Mashiach, they will marry, having damnation, because they have cast off their first faith.
And why is that a problem? What happens is people get into a situation, enter into a vow, and then later on break that vow. They say, it wouldn't have been sin had you not opened your mouth and entered into a vow. Go ahead.
And withal they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house.
Right. This is what it's talking about. This is why it says, no, don't let them women sit alone. Let them go ahead and be married. Because see, if they are younger widows, then they're going to start having problems, wandering from house to house, being idle. Check this out. Keep reading.
And not only idle, but tattlers also, and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not.
Now, this is what it's saying about younger widows. You know the strange thing in Israel? We got married women that do this. Wander from house to house. Tattlers, busybodies in other men's matters, all in other people's houses, doing all kind of things that they ought not do. But they married. They're not widows. These are not women by themselves. You have to understand, you know, I have had a situation where a woman comes over to visit. She's with her husband. The lady of the house says, you know what, I ain't cleaned up my house. I ain't straightened up. I wasn't prepared for nobody to come. Next thing you know, sister upstairs, all of a sudden, hear her bedroom door open and see her face pop up. Come to figure out, the woman who comes over to the house is now upstairs opening bedroom doors without the acknowledgement of the woman of the house. And say the little 5-year-old girl took her upstairs and said she wanted to show her the house. So at what point did you override the woman of the house for the 5-year-old? Busybody in other men's matters. But these ain't widows though. These ain't widows. Go ahead, bro.
You know, brother, even as adults, we have to check ourselves sometimes when we're dealing with children. Because a lot of times they will follow what they've been told.
Exactly.
Better than adults. Nemo was out in the lobby one day and somebody's at the front door and I said, Nemo, open the door. He said, no, I'm not supposed to. I said, you know, brother, I apologize. You followed your directions, I'll get the door.
Right.
He didn't care if it was somebody he knew. He said, nah, I'm not supposed to open the door.
Right. And he'll be looking at you. And you'll be talking, you'll be like, hey, Nemo. Like, I ain't doing that. No, bro. No, you got the number? Hey, bro. Hey. But see, this is what happens when sometimes we get some authority and misuse that authority. And you have to think about something too. The same sister who was sitting there in that bedroom and watched her door open, that same sister got disciplined for being disrespectful to that mother early on. Now think about how disrespectful that was to that sister. Consider that. But that mother was afforded the power of being a mother. She didn't get called into question for opening that little girl's door without her mother's consent. Read, bro.
Verse 14, I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. For some are already turned aside after Satan. If any man or woman that believes have widows, let them relieve them, and let not the church be charged, that it may relieve them that are widows indeed. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor.
Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor. So you have an elder, but then you also have the responsibility. And do you rule well with the responsibility that you have been afforded? Go ahead.
Especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. For the scripture says, you shall not muzzle the ox that treads out the corn, and the laborer is worthy of his reward. Against an elder receive not an accusation, but before 2 or 3 witnesses.
But before 2 or 3 witnesses. So you got to let that sit. And let me tell you something. I don't do 2 or 3. I let 4, 5, and 6 come. And eventually you get things where, hey, this person is out sending out more and more videos asking us what, to look at this. Let's go to teachings that are strange teachings, and knowing that people are getting off, trying to do either their own, whatever their reason is. There's a responsibility. Remember how the elders even were given their spirit. That spirit was taken off Moshe, given unto the elders so that they can help lead the congregation in the same direction. Whenever an elder then uses their power to lead the people in a different direction, it is not just sinful, it's exceedingly sinful because they received a charge. Go ahead.
Them that sin rebuke before all.
And that's why you can't do it secretly. Because understand that you do it secretly, people can still go from place to place, present themselves as being an authoritative member of the body and still offering strange suggestions. And because it has not been given, and we have a very large online community. So all of those people are not afforded the ability to be here and to see all of the things that we see and to know all of those things. So there are some things that have to be put out so that people will understand these are the individuals that you should be talking to and dealing with. Go ahead.
Scripture says, be careful how you build on another man's foundation.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking earlier about when you started teaching. When you left, you were not planning to do a church.
Right.
You departed, you said, hey, I'm going to teach my family at home.
Yep.
And then eventually, a few of us came and said, hey, do you mind if we come? And Yahweh allowed it to evolve to what it's in. You didn't tell anybody, hey, man, y'all want to come with me? I'm going to teach at my house. No, you said, I'm going to teach my family.
Yeah. And it wasn't a decision that was made, that was just made in haste. It was a decision because it was nothing else that could be done. Do understand, half my family was already done. They was like, look, I can't do this no more right here. So you let me know, because I'm listening to the stuff that come from up there, and that stuff don't sound like none of the stuff that we heard before. So when you get ready, let me know. This is also how you learn who you need to listen to in your house. Because I was the one that was still holding on. I had family sitting at home talking about, whenever you're ready, baby, I'm here. We out. They were done. I already knew. But I had to make sure. Go ahead.
Them that sin rebuke before all, that others also may fear.
And that is the purpose. See, that other people learn this is how things are supposed to be done. If not, what happens is you allow those people to continually do things and lead other people astray. And you have to do it because you find out that even though we have a certain amount of people here and we have a certain amount of people that you may see physically, y'all know how many people come through here from other states to get baptisms and then go back home? But then you start to watch things. We have a media department. The media department takes pictures of the baptisms and then sends those to all of those people. There's a point where we had to stop people from taking pictures. You got all of a sudden people take out their own, and not people, one, take picture of every baptism and then ask each individual for their number to send them, the pictures. What they were doing was building their own database of every person that done came through this door. Right. And what the hell for? Right. Busybodies. But these ain't widows. Go ahead.
Verse 21. I charge you before Elohim and the Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach and the elect angels that you observe these things without preferring one before another, doing nothing by partiality. Lay hands suddenly on no man, neither be partaker of other men's sins. Keep yourself pure. Drink no longer water, but use a little wine for your stomach's sake and your own infirmities.
And
your often infirmities, pardon me.
Right. So when I drink wine, I'm helping myself. Twice. Go ahead.
Some men's sins are open beforehand, going before to judgment, and some men, they follow after.
Right. There's some things you ain't gonna see until after they present themselves. So stop thinking that you're gonna see every person and what they are about as soon as you meet them. No, Yahweh does not allow that. There's certain things that you gotta go through. Then afterwards, you see what manner of individual you are dealing with. And in there, you have been spiritually exercised, whether you know it or not. Did you finish that, bro?
Verse 25. Likewise also the good works of some are manifest beforehand, and they that are otherwise cannot be hid.
All right. Go to this next graphic, brother, because I want to make sure that people understand. And I know you can't see this graphic, Brother Kish, so I'm going to explain this to you. This is the UCI organizational chart, and it has Esaac as head priest, Kish as associate priest and under priest, Eliel as associate priest, Benaiah Ben Israel as associate priest, also audiovisual media coordinator, Lael, head mother, print media coordinator, sisters class teacher and choir director, Rebecca as secretary, social services coordinator, and education department. When it comes down to you receiving any information, if you did not get the information from them, those individuals, take that information at your own risk. Consider yourself warned. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Galatians chapter 2.
Galatians chapter 2 and verse 11. But when Cephas was come to Antioch, I withstood him to the face, because he was to be blamed. For before that certain came to Jacob, he did eat with the Gentiles. But when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision. And the other Yehudis disassembled likewise with him, insomuch that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation. But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Cephas before them all, if you, being a Yehudi, liveth after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Yehudis, why compelleth you the Gentiles to live as do the Yehudis?
Now, you find that even though Cephas was a elder, Cephas, Peter, was also the rock on which the church was formed. Because of his dissimulation, it caused other people to dissimulate because of what he was doing. Whenever you got a situation, you have, an order going on in whether it be the choir and they're supposed to be meeting. If then you have people saying, well, this is inconvenient for us to meet. This is inconvenient for us to do this. What does it do? Then other people start saying, yeah, you know what? Why are we meeting to do this? Now other people have joined on to the dissimulation. And if you don't withstand them to the face, other people don't recognize that these things are done in error. And you give plenty of opportunity for things to be dealt with. And when they are not dealt with, then you don't have any choice but to deal with them. Did you finish that, bro?
Verse 15. We who are Yehudis by nature and not sinners of the Gentiles, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Yahshua HaMashiach. Even we have believed in Yahshua HaMashiach, that we might be justified by the faith of Yahshua, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law, shall no flesh be justified.
Right. So then this things of when it comes down to animal sacrifice, that is not how we are justified. We're not justified by the works of the law. We are justified by the belief that Yahshua, our Messiah, has made the ultimate sacrifice for us. And that belief, this is why before we perform a baptism, we ask the people, do you believe that Yahshua the Messiah died for your sins? If you don't agree, you ain't going down. You can get out of the water now. And as many things as we and people have gone through to taste of Yahweh's goodness and turn your back on it, that's something you're going to have to answer to Yahweh about. You're going to have to answer to Yahweh, because if we think this little stuff we going through is so-called scary, you ain't seen jack yet. Wait till you start seeing people falling down dead beside you. We scared now? Then we in for a mighty treat. Because Lucifer's angels ain't set up shop yet. When Lucifer's angels set up shop, you're going to see some stuff. But you know what I praise Yah? That he's showing us who's scared now. Because remember what the words say. If any man among you is afraid, let him go home. Some people exactly where they need to be. Stay at home. Because if you bring your fear here, it's going to spread among the people. And then they going to be afraid too. Keep your fear where it's at. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.